Good morning, students. Today we'll wind up the sessions on Chemmeen. We have discussed in depth about Chemmeen. We first discussed the background of Chemmeen, the novel, and then we moved to the reactions to this novel. Then we directly moved into the movie. We understood the production team behind the movie, and then we moved to the narrative analysis, which were actually divided into 7 parts, and then we moved to the features of this narrative, and later we tried to understand how this movie can be seen as a conflict between the law of the sea and the law of the land, how sea becomes an active character here, and how it can be called as a tragedy of desires and greed. Mainly discussed the desires and greed of these two characters. One is Chembangunya, the other one is Karuthamma, and how both of them brought tragedy to the people associated with them. And when we move to the character study, we start with Karuthamma, who was a tragic figure who is actually torn between desire and the other side there is this societal norms, and how she transgresses this societal norms and ends up in tragedy. And then we move to Chembangunya. Later we move to Parikutti, and then we have today the analysis of the character Palani. So this is actually one of the profound portrayal by the great actor Satyan. Palani is portrayed by Satyan. And here Palani becomes a true son of sea. And we see that he has no strings attached to the land. He has no family when he comes to see Karuthamma. He has no family along with him, and that raises some kind of criticism there. And so he is a person not at all attached with the land. And he is the son of sea, and interestingly, strangely, his life ends in sea as well. In the first scene where this Palani is shown, we see him in the sea, and he ends in the sea. The last shot where we see him is also in the sea. He ends there. So he is a person who follows the law of the sea religiously and completely derides the transgressions of Chembangunya. He doesn't have some kind of a desire or greed to accumulate wealth just like Chembangunya. And we see that he is a person like sea because his mind is full of tides with lot of uncertainty. He has a lot of apprehensions, whether it can be about his marriage or about the love for Kartama. He has a lot of confusion. He has a tide going on in his inner mind. There is a lot of confusion going within him, and that actually represents the tide of a sea. And his mind gets easily swayed by the society around him. Look at the way he gets disturbed by hearing all those rumors going on around him, and he goes to Kartama asking about these rumors, and that shows his disturbance in mind. And he is a person who can be easily manipulated because he doesn't understand the laws of the land, how these people behave, their behavior, and actually disturbs him. But he has this true love for Kartama. That is actually what you see even in his last breath too. He utters the name of his Marikyati, Kartama is his last utterance. So he is a person who oscillates, his mind oscillates just like a sea. That is why I said earlier, he is actually a true son of sea. The other person, Parikutti, instead represents the land. He has never been to the sea, and he doesn't understand the laws of the sea, which brings tragedy into his life. So, as I did earlier, I will read a part from this article too, where this Palani is described in detail. ചിത്രത്തിൽ പളനി കടലിന്റെ മകനാണ്. അയാൾ കടലിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്നു, ഒടുവിൽ കടലിൽ ചെന്ന് ചേരുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. അയാൾക്ക് ജീവിതവും ജീവനവും മരണവും കടലാണ്. കടലിൽ നിന്ന് വേറിട്ടൊരു അസ്തിത്വം അയാൾക്കില്ല. കരയിൽ അയാൾ കരയിലിട്ട മീൻ പോലെ അസ്വസ്ഥനാണ്. അവിടെ അയാൾക്ക് ഒരു ഉറപ്പുമില്ല. വീട്, മാതാപിതാക്കൾ തുടങ്ങിയ കരവേരുകൾ അയാൾക്കില്ലാത്തതിനാൽ തന്നെ കരയിൽ എടുക്കേണ്ട തീരുമാനങ്ങളെ കുറിച്ച് അയാൾക്ക് ഉറപ്പില്ല. വിവാഹസമ്മതം, വിവാഹം കഴിഞ്ഞ് പെണ്ണിനെ കൂട്ടിക്കൊണ്ടുപോകുന്ന കാര്യത്തിൽ, പിന്നീട് നാട്ടുകാർ കർത്തമ്മയെ കുറിച്ച് അപവാദങ്ങൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒന്നും അയാൾക്ക് സ്വന്തമായ നിലപാടുകളില്ല. കർത്തമ്മയുമായുള്ള ബന്ധത്തിലും അയാൾ നിരന്തരമായുള്ള സംശയത്തിനും സ്നേഹത്തിനും ഇടയിൽ ചാഞ്ചാടിക്കൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുന്നു. കടലിൽ അയാൾക്കുള്ള നിലയുറപ്പ്, കരയിലില്ല. കരയിൽ അയാളെ സ്വാധീനിക്കുന്ന മറ്റൊരു ഘടകം തന്റെ കൂടെ പണിയെടുക്കുന്ന മറ്റ് അരയന്മാരാണ്. കറുത്തമ്മയിൽ അയാൾക്കുള്ള സ്നേഹത്തെ കൂട്ടുകാരുടെ പരദൂഷണം നിരന്തരം അലോസരപ്പെടുത്തി കൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുന്നു. കറുത്തമ്മയെ ചീത്ത പറയുമ്പോഴും ഉടൻ തന്നെ താനല്ല നാട്ടുകാർ പറയുന്നതാണ് എന്ന് കൂട്ടിച്ചേർക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. എങ്കിലും അയാൾക്ക് അവളെ പൂർണ്ണമായി വിശ്വസിക്കാനും ആവുന്നില്ല. അവർ തമ്മിലുള്ള അവസാന രംഗം പളനി അനുഭവിക്കുന്ന സംഘർഷത്തെ അതിന്റെ പാരമ്യത്തിലെത്തിക്കുന്നു. അയാളുടെ ഒടുങ്ങാത്ത സംശയത്തിനുള്ള മറുപടി എന്നവണ്ണം കറുത്തമ്മ തനിക്ക് പരീക്കുട്ടിയോട് ഇഷ്ടമാണെന്ന് ആദ്യമായി തുറന്നു പറയുന്നു. അതിന്റെ ആഘാതം താങ്ങാനാവാതെ അയാൾ അഭയം തേടുന്നതും കടലിൽ തന്നെയാണ്. ഒരു നല്ല അരയനായ പളനി കരയിൽ തന്റെ മരയ്ക്കാത്തി പിഴയ്ക്കുന്നതോടെ കടലിൽ അയാളും മരിക്കുന്നു. അവസാന ശ്വാസത്തിലും തന്റെ മരയ്ക്കാത്തിയുടെ പേര് ഉറക്കെ നിലവിളിച്ചുകൊണ്ടാണ് അയാൾ ചുഴിയിൽ ആഴുന്നത്. അതിരുകളില്ലാത്ത കടൽ പോലെയാണ് പളനിയും. അതിരുകളാണ് അപരത്തിൽ നിന്ന് മാറി സ്വയം സങ്കല്പിക്കാനും ആഗ്രഹിക്കുവാനും ഉള്ള കെൽപ്പ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പടുതി ഒരാൾക്ക് നൽകുന്നത്. ഞാൻ, നീ എന്ന വിഭജനങ്ങളില്ലാതെ പരന്നൊഴുകുന്ന ഒരാൾക്ക് പ്രണയം സാധ്യമല്ല. അവിടെയുള്ളത് കടലിൽ എന്ന പോലെ ബാഹ്യ ശക്തികൾ ഉളവാക്കുന്ന ചലനങ്ങൾ മാത്രമാണ്. പളനിയുടെ കാര്യത്തിൽ കർത്തമ്മയുമായുള്ള അയാളുടെ ബന്ധത്തിൽ സ്വന്തമായ അഭിലാഷം അഥവാ പ്രണയം എന്നതിലുപരി മറ്റുള്ളവർ അതിലുണ്ടാക്കുന്ന കലക്കങ്ങൾക്കും ചലനങ്ങൾക്കുമാണ് കൂടുതൽ പ്രാമുഖ്യം. അപരബോധമില്ലാത്ത പളനി ഒടുവിൽ കടലിൽ തന്നെ ലയിക്കുന്നു. കരയിൽ ഒന്നും അവശേഷിപ്പിക്കാതെ. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ അയാളെ മരണത്തിലേക്ക് നയിച്ച സ്രാവ് ചൂണ്ടയോടെ കരയ്ക്കടിയുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും അയാളുടെ ശരീരം കരയ്ക്കടിയുന്നില്ല എന്നത് യാദൃശ്ചികമല്ല. So that's about Palani. So as I said earlier, he doesn't understand the laws of this land. He is the true son of the sea, and he doesn't know the binaries like you and me, because that is not there. These kind of boundaries are not there in the sea. So sea is something which is vast without any boundaries, and boundaries are drawn by the society which he can't accept at all. So he is not meant for the land. That is why, even though, as I said, it is seen in this article, his body doesn't comes to the shore. Only the the fish which comes to his bait, ends up in shore, and that is not something which happens accidentally. It is very much deliberate to show that he doesn't belong to land at all. So that is Palani. Now we have a general analysis of women characters in Chemmeen, and what makes this film different from other films of this period is that we have a group of women characters who have agency, that is, they have voice of their own. Whether it is Chakki, Nallapenna or Kartamma, they are actually strong women who deals with diverse challenges. They are going through different circumstances, and they approach these circumstances with lot of willpower, and they have this capacity to think of their own, to think independently. They are actually sure about themselves. Look at these characters. One is Chakki. So she is also equally ambitious, industrious like Chemmeen, but she doesn't treat money as a means. She treats money only as a means, not as an aim, and that is how her attitude differs from the attitude of Chemmeen, and she always maintains an ethical compass. So she has this ethics in her mind, and she is always thoughtful about her family, unlike Chemmeen. So here we see a strong woman character, and then take the case of Nallabinna, even Papikunna. They have, as you said earlier, they have their agency of their own, they have their voice of their own, and they deal with different challenges in their life, but they are not fragile like the male characters you see in this in this novel as well. And later we'll try to understand it as an adaptation. So it was discussed in our webinar series as well, some of the aspects of the adaptation of this novel into film. So Ramu Karyad, so he is a master in film adaptation of literary works. All his works were adaptations, mainly Neelakuil, Udyanayaputran, Nellu, etc. These were all adaptations of great literary works, and he has made it is something like a faithful adaptation, preserving the spirit of the novel. So the novel is not much changed according to the wishes of the directors. He tried to preserve the spirit of the novel, which is contained in the novel by the author. And the techniques used in adaptation. So in the novel, it begins with a conversation between Kartama and Perikuti, but the cinema begins with the establishing shots of the seascape. So that is where we understand that sea becomes an important. That is where this film differs from the novel. I should say that because it is where we understand that sea is the most important character in this film. So we have this establishing shots of seascape and other characters, and in the first 2 minutes itself, we will understand the whole set of characters there and their behavior too, their temperament too. And it is said that the film portrays the society vividly than the novel Chemmeen. And how does it brings the tale of the myths of chastity? So it brings the tales of chastity and through these advices by Chucky, by Nalaban and other neighbors. And in film, it is through all those songs we have all these Pennale in which this myth is narrated. And in novel Chemmeen, we see that he is visiting Kannan house, but it is not detailed enough. But in cinema, it is cinematically embellished with there is this tones of temptations and desires. We see desirous eyes of Chemmeen there, who wants to become like Kannan. And talking about the deficiency in adaptation of this novel into film, we see that cinema at many places resort to some kind of an artificial literary language. Example, what you see when there is this last conversation between Karutam and Perikuti, it becomes more where they see at the end. She comes to take a pot of water, and there is this last meeting between them, and that is very artificial. I think it is the most artificial scene in that film where there is this conversation between them, and it is one of the deficiency of the adaptation. So trying to bring out the correct or the sorry, there was a kind of a disturbance. So what we see here is that there is something like a direct adaptation from word to frame, and actually it brings some kind of an artificial nature into that scene. That is one of the deficiency we see in this work. And in the novel, we see that the reason for Chemmeen becoming mad is vividly narrated, but in cinema it is not clear how he becomes mad. It is not clear, but the behavior after he turned mad, it is beautifully captured. He just wandering along the shore of the sea. It is beautifully captures, and it how he wanders and actually depicts is actually a direct representation of how his mind wanders. So that is actually a beautiful depiction there. So this is the movie as an adaptation. We'll move to some more points. So Chemmeen is treated as a melodrama. Its genre is known as a melodrama, and how it differs from the classic Indian melodramas. Normally, all those Indian melodramas revolves around the sacrifice of mother and women. There is this figure of mother, the prominence of Ma. Whereas in Chemmeen we see, even though this is a melodrama, we see the desire of woman overtakes the sacrificial motherhood in her. If it was a classical Indian melodrama, at the end we should have seen this Kartama would have thought about her daughter, or and she would have sacrificed her love for the love for Parikuti for the love for her daughter. And she might have thought about that she has to raise a girl child and she should be an ideal mother, all sorts of things. But here we see the contrast. Here we see a woman giving more prominence to her own desire. She doesn't comes up as a sacrificing mother. So that's one of the difference between this movie, this novel, and the other Indian classical melodramas. And this is one. The other one is one interesting point. It has been point which becomes a point to analyze for all those academicians, how Chemmeen becomes an ample space for male gaze. So that is known as scopophilia. Please go through these terms, you will understand. So we see that the body of Kartama in Chemmeen is perfectly placed as the or as an object of which gives sexual pleasure to men. So we see that there is this. I have taken this particular scene where she becoming conscious of her own body. This picture. So there is this tight single piece loin cloth which act almost as a fetish, and there is this mole on her breast, and it is actually the mole or the everything placed on that body is actually constricted. Her whole body is constricted as the object of male gaze, and there is a lot of studies going on this point as Chemmeen as providing a space for male gaze. So please remember this point. You can study more in your higher studies. So these are the points from this film Chemmeen. So this is how you do a film analysis. As you see, there is this complete dissection of this movie, analyzing the narratives, analyzing the characters, and going through all those perspectives So this is how you do a film analysis. Hope you understand. And now these are some of the points you can ponder on. So you can think about whether this film encourages the superstition and all those conservative forces, whether this film was trying to reinforce the superstition, the myth related to chastity. And you can have a different perspective about Chemmeen as well. So here Chemmeen is a person who transgresses the law of the sea. But think you can have a different perspective where you can think about Chemmeen as a force of modernity. He is a person, he can be a person, he may be a person who is desirous of changes and development. And it can be treated in a positive manner too, that he acts as a force of modernity. So please think about these points. It can widen up your knowledge about this movie. So I am stopping here. You can move with further points. So thank you girls. Have a nice day.